The new Red Bull Dragonberry Energizer is now at McDonald's. Made with freeze-dried dragon fruit and made to lock in. The all-new Energizer, now at McDonald's.
And away we go, episode 1392 of the Al Galdi podcast. It is Thursday, August 20th, 2026. It is my daughter's birthday. She turned 6. She is a big fan of something called K-pop. Are you aware of K-pop? I have become very aware of K-pop because I now have heard each of the songs about 8,000 times. I'm sure that I'll be hearing a lot of those songs today. K-pop, some of you have no idea what I'm talking about, but I know that some of you, maybe even many of you, know exactly of what I speak. This day also marks exactly 1 month until the Washington Commanders' second game of the NFL's 2026 regular season. Washington at the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday afternoon, September 20th at 4:25. How spectacular would it be if Washington won the team's 2026 regular season opener at the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday afternoon, September 13th at 4:25, and then won that game at the Cowboys 2-0 with each win an NFC East road win? Stop laughing. How sweet would that be? Hello and welcome to this Thursday installment of the Al Galdi podcast. Coming up on the show, a lot for you on 2026 Washington Commanders training camp. Next segment, a conversation that, quite frankly, I do not want to have, but that we need to have. Injuries for Washington are mounting. The bad injury luck for our team in the 2025 regular season has carried over into the team's 2026 training camp and 2026 preseason. I'll take you through the latest and examine the troubling extent to which Washington already is dealing with injuries. The following segment, discussion of the great training camp that quarterback Jayden Daniels is having, off head coach Dan Quinn detailing some of the intricacies of Daniels' camp. Examination of Washington needing to be better at generating takeaways and more off comments from Quinn. And also on the show, I'll talk Washington Nationals and Baltimore Orioles. The Nats, they ended their 4-game losing streak, a 6-0 win at the Texas Rangers on Wednesday night, as starting pitcher Cade Cavalli again was superb. 6 scoreless innings, 11 strikeouts versus 1 walk. The O's, they lost their third consecutive game, a 5-3 loss to the New York Yankees at Oriole Park at Camden Yards on Wednesday evening. Before we get to feedback, our Washington Wizards, they are part of a developing multi-team trade. This per ESPN NBA insider Shams Charania on Wednesday night in a post on X. He reported that the Wizards from the Cleveland Cavaliers are getting Trey Mann, a second-round pick in the 2027 NBA draft in cash, and to the Cavs are sending Cam Whitmore, and to the Denver Nuggets are sending Julian Reese, whom the Nuggets will waive. Few things in life are as needlessly complicated as NBA trades, but the Wizards and Trey Mann are getting a guy who can play point guard, and the Wizards reportedly had been looking for a backup point guard. Mann is entering his age 25 season. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. You can reach me via writing a review of the podcast on Apple Podcasts. You could write about whatever you want, and I'll read what you write if you give the podcast a 5-star rating. Email from a SEM on the Washington Commanders in their preseason opening 27 win over the Miami Dolphins at Northwest Stadium this past Friday night, not playing 26 starters / key players. And we on Wednesday's show, episode 1392, talked about whether Washington should / will play starters / key players in the team's second game of this preseason at the Detroit Lions this Saturday at noon. Writes Assem, "Hi Al, I am a big fan of the Commanders from Saudi Arabia. Having lived in the D.C. area years ago, I really enjoy your podcast as it keeps me connected to the Commanders and other D.C. area sports teams. I am writing this email after watching the Commanders' first preseason game. While I certainly felt some excitement about the rookie running backs, I have to say that it was really frustrating to see DQ resting our starters for the entire game. I expected JD and first-string players to play 1 or 2 drives, as I feel that one of the reasons behind our sloppy start and series of injuries the team suffered last season was the lack of minimal active participation in preseason games. Thank you for the great podcast, and let's hope we get a more competitive and healthy Commanders team in the new season." Thank you very much for the email, Assem. Hope all is well in Saudi Arabia. As I said on Wednesday's show, there is no generic right answer to whether an NFL team should play starters/key players in a preseason game. Every team is different. Every preseason is different. And we as fans and media members so often don't know the inner workings of a team well enough to know what's right for that team that preseason. Now, to me, yes, this Washington team this preseason would appear to be a team that should play starters/key players in the preseason a decent amount. Washington, A, is coming off a terrible 2025 regular season in which so many starters/key players missed significant time due to injury. B, has a bunch of new players, especially on defense. C, has a new offensive coordinator in David Blau and a new defensive coordinator in Durante Jones. And D, has on paper, a very difficult schedule in the first half of the 2026 regular season. All of this, to me, adds up to a compelling case for Washington playing starters/key players in this preseason, at least a decent amount. But are, say, 2 drives for starters/key players in this game at the Lions this Saturday, August 22nd at noon, really going to make a difference regarding the regular season opener, which is at the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday afternoon, September 13th at 4:25. Like, when you think about the issue that way, 2 drives on August 22nd significantly impacting a game on September 13th. The issue does seem silly. There's also this. Yes, Washington barely played starters/key players last preseason. And yes, Washington ended up having an awful 2025 regular season. What's also true is that Washington got off to a decent start in the 2025 regular season. Washington was 3-2 with each win by at least 15 points. Then came an 8-game losing streak en route to our team finishing 5-12 with a point differential of -95. But Washington did not get off to a bad start to last regular season. Washington barely playing starters/key players last preseason did not lead to a bad start to last regular season. Hey, please consider subscribing to the podcast if you're not already doing that. Subscribing to the podcast costs nothing. Make sure that you never miss an episode and helps out the podcast a lot. And if you're already subscribing, thank you. We had 2026 Washington Commanders training camp on Wednesday morning, had the final practice of this camp open to fans. This marked the second of 3 consecutive days of Washington practicing. This was a padded practice, but this was a padded practice that did not include a number of Washington players. Look, what I'm about to say is not something that I want to say, but we on this podcast keep it real, yo. So I'm going to say this. The bad injury luck for Washington in its 2025 regular season has carried over into the team's 2026 training camp and 2026 preseason. The list of injury situations for Washington right now is long, really long. I hope like heck that the bad injury luck stops come the 2026 regular season, but the number one reason for Washington in the 2025 regular season going 5-12 with a point differential of -95, bad injury luck, that phenomenon has not gone away. So let's start with this. There during Tuesday morning's practice were 4 Washington defensive players who did not practice for unknown injury reasons. Defensive tackle Johnny Newton, outside linebackers Odafe Oweh and Kayvon Chason, and inside linebacker Jordan McGee. Well, now we know the reasons. Head coach Dan Quinn did a pre-practice press conference on Wednesday morning. During the presser, had this back and forth between Commanders insider John Keim of ESPN and Quinn.
Can we get an update on some of the guys who weren't out there yesterday? I think it was Odafe, Kayvon, Jordan, and then Johnny Newton.
Sure. Let's start with Kayvon. So he injured his knee in the joint practice. Not significant, but we are being smart in that spot. Johnny Newton injured his pec during the game. He's currently in New York seeing a specialist there, so I'll give you an update tomorrow after their meeting. Oweh has a strained calf, kind of the early phase of that. We're, again, just being smart there. Jordan McGee, I think, was the other one you asked about. Injured his shoulder in the game. We'll hold him out this week, but nothing that's going to linger into the season or any of that.
Is this a long-term concern for Johnny?
It could be. I'll have an update today about anytime go see a specialist with a pec. So it could be.
Okay, and what Dan Quinn had to say about Johnny Newton did not sound good, sounded especially bad, and sure enough, we on Wednesday night had reports that Newton on Wednesday underwent surgery for a torn pectoral muscle and will miss significant time. Terrible news. Additionally, running back Rachaad White, he did not practice on Wednesday morning, did not practice for a second consecutive day. He, per reports on Wednesday night, is dealing with a hamstring injury. But here, as best as we can tell, is what we're looking at with Washington injuries right now is keep in mind the team is not required to put out any official injury reports during training camp or the preseason. On offense, left tackle Laramie Tunsil, he suffered a torn triceps during training camp practice on August 8th. He's out for at least a significant portion of the 2026 regular season. QB2 Marcus Mariota, he suffered a right knee MCL sprain in Washington's preseason opening 27 win over the Miami Dolphins at Northwest Stadium this past Friday night. He's out for the rest of the preseason, but is expected to be ready for the start of the regular season. Running back Jeremy McNichols, he, per Dan Quinn during his press conference this past Sunday afternoon, is dealing with a quadriceps injury that will keep McNichols out for multiple weeks. Washington on Tuesday morning announced having placed running back Jerome Ford on the reserve/injured list. This due to a hamstring injury that he suffered in Washington's preseason opening win over the Dolphins this past Friday night. We'll see about another running back in Rachaad White as he deals with this reported hamstring injury. And Washington on Tuesday morning announced having placed receiver River Craycraft on the reserve/injured list. And keep in mind that Washington for Tuesday morning's practice got back to offensive players who had been out for weeks, center Nick Allegretti and tight end John Bates. Allegretti had been out since suffering a calf strain during training camp practice on July 29th, what was the team's first practice of 2026 training camp, although Allegretti on Wednesday morning did leave practice early. Not sure what's up with that. Bates, he had been out since suffering a hamstring strain during training camp practice on July 30th. On defense, well, defensive tackle Johnny Newton. As we discussed, he's out for who knows how long. He's dealing with this pectoral muscle injury that he suffered in Washington's preseason opening win over the Dolphins this past Friday night. Defensive tackle Tim Settle is dealing with a calf strain. Defensive end Dietrich Wise Jr. is on the active/physically unable to perform list, though this in his recovery from a torn quadriceps that he suffered in Washington's 27-18 loss at the Green Bay Packers on Thursday Night Football this past September 11th. Outside linebacker Odafe Owe is dealing with a calf strain. Outside linebacker Calevon Chason is dealing with a knee injury that he suffered in Washington's joint practice with the visiting Dolphins on August 12th. Inside linebacker Jordan McGee, he's dealing with a shoulder injury that he suffered during Washington's preseason opening win over the Dolphins this past Friday night. And cornerback Trey Amos is dealing with an ankle injury that he suffered during training camp practice on August 8th. And don't forget that Washington will be without defensive end Dorrance Armstrong for its 2026 regular season opener. The NFL this past Friday afternoon announced having suspended Dorrance Armstrong without pay for Washington's first game of the 2026 regular season. This due to a violation of the league's personal conduct policy. Armstrong on May 10th, 2025 was arrested in Frisco, Texas on 2 misdemeanor charges: assault causing bodily injury and resisting arrest/search or transport. He was on probation for 9 months and received deferred adjudication in both cases. Now, Commanders insider Nikki Javala of The Athletic, she on Wednesday morning came out with a piece in which she provided details on the arrest. This is something. Quote, "The incident took place around 7:45 p.m. on May 10th, 2025 in Frisco, according to the redacted arrest report. 2 officers from the Frisco Police Department were dispatched to a call for service from a woman, later described as Armstrong's girlfriend, who claimed Armstrong was intoxicated and trying to remove her and her 2 young children from their home. Officers arrived to find Armstrong standing outside with another man, Charles Gaston, who later told the officers that he helped manage Armstrong and his finances, according to the report. Gaston told one of the officers that he and Armstrong had been at a business meeting since about 1 p.m. that day, and that Armstrong drank too many alcoholic beverages and had been arguing with his girlfriend, according to the report. Armstrong and Gaston had not yet gone inside the home when officers arrived, the report says, and Armstrong had punched the brick exterior out of anger, injuring his right hand. While the reporting officer spoke with Gaston, another man, Michael Ledo, or Ledo, L-E-D-O, arrived and said he was Armstrong's manager. Gaston and Ledo, or Ledo, both attempted to calm Armstrong, according to the report. The second officer then went inside to speak to Armstrong's girlfriend. Armstrong's girlfriend informed the officer that they had been arguing for most of the day, but that there had been no physical altercation between them. She told the officer she knew Armstrong was intoxicated and was scared to have him come inside the home, according to the arrest report. With the officer still there, Armstrong entered the backyard of the home through a side gate and pounded on the windows and doors and kicked the back door to try to get inside. The officers convinced his girlfriend to leave the home for the night, the report says. As Armstrong's girlfriend began to load her suitcase and children in the car, officers reported hearing glass break at the rear of the home. As they helped Armstrong's girlfriend get into the vehicle, Armstrong emerged from the backyard. He yelled to the officer to get away from my baby and to give me my baby. But the officer intervened, allowing the child to be loaded into the vehicle so Ledo, or Ledo, could drive off. Armstrong then allegedly turned his anger on Gaston and repeatedly tried to instigate a fight with him. The officers reported that Armstrong's anger and unpredictability, combined with the information that he punched a wall, made him a threat to himself and others. He was arrested for public intoxication and placed in handcuffs, but as officers began to walk him to the patrol car, he began to resist and started to walk in the opposite direction, they reported. A third officer then arrived. Armstrong actively resisted being put in the patrol car, according to the report. When the third officer tried to reach over Armstrong to connect his seatbelt, Armstrong turned and kicked the officer in his chest, according to the arrest report, end quote. So there you go. If you were wondering why exactly is Dorrance Armstrong suspended for the Washington Commanders' first game of the 2026 regular season, well, now we have some more details. Dorrance Armstrong, defensive end for our Washington Commanders, a member of our Commander family. As Dan Quinn said during his pre-practice press conference on August 7th regarding Washington earlier that day, having signed unrestricted free agent receiver Stephon Diggs, a member of our Commander family.
Have him as part of our Commander family.
Yeah, Dorrance Armstrong, a member of our Commander family. But boy, does Washington have a lot in the way of injuries right now? I do not like how this is trending regarding a bounce-back season for our team in the department of injury luck. Now, what about the situation at defensive tackle given the Johnny Newton and Tim Settle situations? We on Wednesday morning had this exchange between Commanders insider Ben Standig of Last Man Standing on Substack and Dan Quinn.
Hey, Dan. In light of the Johnny Newton news, where do things stand with Tim Settle at this point?
Yes, so sorry I could have hit Tim on that. So he's making good progress, got a big marker in that return to play today of like if he can hit all those, and we're hopeful as he gets into next week that we could start ramping him back up into practice. So if he hits all the good spaces, that would be a good thing for us.
Yes, that would be. Hopefully Tim Settle's back soon, but Washington's defensive front is really banged up. That's why the team in recent days has signed multiple unrestricted free agent front seven defensive players. Washington on August 11th announced the signing of defensive tackle Byron Cowart, a product of the University of Maryland, and was taken by the New England Patriots in the 5th round of the 2019 NFL Draft out of Maryland, for which he played for the 2018 season, off playing for Auburn for the 2015 through 2017 seasons. Cowart, I thought, did well in the preseason opening win over the Dolphins this past Friday night. And Washington this past Tuesday morning announced the signings of defensive tackle Maurice Hurst II and inside linebacker Chris Barnes. We on Wednesday morning had this exchange between Nikki Javala and Dan Quinn.
With a number of guys on the D-line, the front seven really banged up, do you plan to bring in any other guys, and what's sort of your concern level for week one?
No. Right now, we added Mo Hurst yesterday or 2 days ago, and I thought Byron did a nice job, like in his first action, Nikki, of getting up and getting to speed. So we're hopeful that Tim's going to be back here soon, and the other guys aren't long-term. So no other plans than the group that we've had so far.
All right. Well, we'll just have to see if and hope that Washington's injury luck improves. We, on episode 1320 of this podcast, spoke with Alex Vigderman, Vice President of Analytics for Sports Info Solutions. Alex for SportsInfoSolutions.com wrote a piece on which NFL teams were most and least affected by injuries in the 2025 regular season. What his research revealed was interesting. Washington in the 2025 regular season had 222 games missed due to injury, far from the highest such total in the NFL, but Washington had 230 total points missed due to injury, the second highest such total in the NFL. Total points is Sports Info Solutions, a player value metric for football. So in terms of most value lost to injury in the 2025 regular season, Washington was number 2. The Arizona Cardinals were number 1. Another advanced stat for injuries in the NFL is adjusted games lost by Aaron Schatz, who is the chief analytics officer for FTN Fantasy. Washington for the 2025 regular season was number 3 in the NFL in most adjusted games lost, 124.4. Saying that Washington last regular season got wrecked by injury is not excuse making, is not whining. Saying that Washington last regular season got wrecked by injury is fact-based, is quantifiable. And we are not off to a good start regarding Washington's injury luck for the 2026 regular season. Taking care of the people you love, nothing matters more. Get peace of mind with life insurance through Ethos. Ethos helps to provide financial security for your family. Ethos makes getting life insurance fast and easy, 100% online. You get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. There's no medical exam. You just answer a few simple health questions. You can get up to $3 million in coverage. Some policies are as low as $30 a month. You'll get your lowest rate from Ethos' network of trusted carriers. And know this, Ethos has a rating of 4.9 out of 5 stars on Trustpilot with over 5,500 reviews. Take 10 minutes today to get covered with life insurance through Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/Al Galdi. That's ethos.com/Al Galdi. Ethos.com/Al Galdi. Application times may vary. Rates may vary. Trustpilot rating as of August 1st, 2026.
If you're like me, you're the kid who savored every last drop of sugary milk at the bottom of your cereal bowl while watching Saturday morning cartoons. Kachava's new flavor, Cinnamon French Toast, gives you a bit of that classic nostalgia. And I love that it's made with real cinnamon bark. It's a comfort flavor, but with benefits and without the sugary drawbacks. There's no artificial colors, flavors, or sweeteners. It's non-GMO, there's no soy, there's no animal products, no gluten, and no preservatives. But Kachava does provide all the nutrition your body craves in one deliciously simple shake with just 2 scoops. So treat yourself to a childhood favorite. Go to Kachava.com and use code SPORTS for 15% off your first order. That's Kachava, Kachava.com with code SPORTS.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required. $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. See terms.
More now on the Washington Commanders off Wednesday morning's padded practice at training camp. So how is 2026 Washington Commanders training camp going? During head coach Dan Quinn's pre-practice press conference on Wednesday morning, had this exchange between Commanders insider Donna Hopkins of Pro Football Plus and Quinn.
3 weeks into training camp, second preseason game. Where do you see this team overall as a whole? What do you like that's standing out, and what are some things that you feel that you want to see?
Yep. So I'll first start off with the things that are standing out. I like the competitive makeup of the training camp practices that the guys have had. Don, I thought they've really pushed it against one another. So like even in a practice like yesterday when I highlighted the film, there was one-on-ones from O-line to running backs to linebackers, down to the wide receivers and corners of the red zone. So I like the situational football that the guys have done. You'll see some more of that today on some 2-minute and 4-minute at the end of the game. So those would be two of the things that I'm pleased with. And then the things that I want to see cleaned up is like pre-snap mistakes. We've had ball starts, in practice. We've had them in the game. I'm just talking specifically to offense. Defensively, kind of the same thing. Like a communication has to be on point. It's every single play. So those are the things I'd like to see get rid of. Some of the self-inflicted penalty, and those ones. I recognize, like when you're moving fast, mistakes will happen. But those pre-snap ones, like we've got to get rid of that.
Yeah, man, pre-snap penalties are the worst. Washington for the 2025 regular season was number 26 out of 32 NFL teams in fewest total penalties, 150. Not good. So an undeniable theme of 2026 Washington Commanders training camp has been the QB1 Jayden Daniels doing very well. Dan Quinn, during his pre-practice press conference on August 3rd, said that Daniels was, quote, even further ahead, end quote, than anticipated. Quinn, during his pre-practice press conference on August 4th, raved about the accuracy of Daniels. Daniels, by all accounts, put on a show in the joint practice with the visiting Miami Dolphins on August 12th. Quinn, during his pre-practice press conference on Tuesday morning, said that Daniels was having, quote, an incredible training camp, end quote. Daniels did not throw his first interception of this training camp until Tuesday morning's practice. Tuesday was August 18th. Camp started on July 29th. So yeah, an undeniable theme of 2026 Washington Commanders training camp has been Jayden Daniels doing very well. Now, of course, Daniels doing well in training camp guarantees nothing for the 2026 regular season. We all get that, but it has been great to see and hear that he's having this great camp given his injury-ruined 2025 season off his all-time great 2024 rookie season. Will his third NFL season be what we want it to be? A monster bounce-back season. During Dan Quinn's pre-practice press conference on Wednesday morning, had this back and forth between Commanders insider Candy Waller of Bowie TV Sports and Quinn.
You've brought up Jayden Daniels in the camp that he's having so far. So can you just share, this is year 3 with you all together, just what have you really specifically seen from him in this camp that, I know, of course, he's year 3 in the NFL, but yeah, what do you really love about him?
I love that he's decisive, as a quarterback. He's got like a unique ability to put the ball in the right location, and so not just to what's his completion percentage, but what's the accuracy, and that's even above the completion percentage. There could have been a drop or something, but it was in the right location. So I like that he's in a system that he is now at the line of scrimmage working more things, and so that might be the biggest difference, Candy, between the last couple of years and this year is him at the line of scrimmage and working through. So he's done a good job with cadence. That's not something that we've done here before. So those are a few of the things that don't show up on the stat sheet that he's doing a really good job with.
And in terms of whether he plays, how much, or any of the starters, have you all had that conversation? Have you made a decision on that yet?
No decision yet, but we'll go through today and then to tomorrow, and then we'll hit onto those after we see kind of the health of everybody and where we're at. But he's throwing a really good camp. I'm very pleased with what I've seen from him. New system, owning it, being in charge of it. So he's off to a hell of a start.
Yeah, and honestly, given all of the injuries that Washington is dealing with right now, as we discussed last segment, you can understand why the team might not play starters/key players in the preseason game at the Detroit Lions this Saturday at noon. But Dan Quinn, again, talking up the accuracy of Jayden Daniels. And Quinn highlighted that Daniels in this offense, of new offensive coordinator David Blau, has more responsibility/freedom at the line of scrimmage as compared to what he had with Cliff Kingsbury as the team's offensive coordinator for the last 2 seasons. We, on Wednesday morning, had this exchange between Commanders insider Nikki Javala of The Athletic and Dan Quinn.
And then going back to Candy's question about Jayden, and you mentioned his accuracy. Could you tell if he changed anything in the offseason? Was that something that you guys urged him to work on?
He worked extremely hard, but that's him, in that way. I just feel like the pocket that he's in, his routine is right, that, the team around him of getting everything organized and ready for him to play. Like saw him this morning early, getting ready with Chad. Like he's got a good routine, a good process, and I think what we're seeing like is some of the result of that. But also his connection with the players, this much depth, this much route. They've spent a lot of time together, so it's nice to see even early on, like he and Steph, like Terry and he have all these time now, so it feels good. So adding Steph into that group, that's been a big deal. He might have 10 or 12 targets so far, Steph does, and I bet he has 10 or 11 completions. So that speaks to also Jayden in the right spot, in the right location, and also to Steph, when do I sit down, when do I try to beat this guy? And so it's been nice to see that relationship grow too.
Very nice to hear about the building chemistry between Jayden Daniels and receiver Stephon Diggs. The Chad who Dan Quinn mentioned is Chad Engelhardt, who is Washington's head strength and conditioning coach. Chad Engelhardt has been with Washington for years. He joined the team via being hired as an assistant strength and conditioning coach on February 26th, 2010. Jason Campbell was the team's QB1 when it hired Chad Engelhardt. Let's talk Washington defensive line, which, as we discussed last segment, is banged up big time right now. Washington's current defensive tackles, Daron Payne, Javon Kinlaw, Tim Settle, Johnny Newton, Shai Tuttle, Ricky Barber, Jeffrey Emba, Byron Coward, and Maurice Hurst. Washington's current defensive ends, Dorrance Armstrong, Charles Omenihu, Dietrich Wise Jr., who is on the active/physically unable to perform list, Drake Jackson, DJ Johnson, and TJ McGarren-Yanga. Washington's current outside linebackers, Adafe Owe, Calebon Chason, Joshua Josephs, and Javonte Jean-Baptiste. Also, Washington has a new defensive line coach in Eric Henderson. We on Wednesday morning had this exchange between Commanders insider Tashawn Reed of the Washington Post and Dan Quinn.
Dan, I know you're already high on the defensive line from what you've seen throughout training camp so far, but last week, going against the Dolphins in joint practice and in the game, that was really the first time you got to see them, competitive against another team. After evaluating the film, what were some of your takeaways from the defensive line?
I liked the versatility, so we have, ability to be like in 3-down or 5-down packages, 4-down packages, so that takes training. I thought Eric Henderson's done a nice job with the interior guys. You've seen Payne and JK out on the edges, which, that's a nice matchup to see that type of size and strength, playing over tight ends. We still need a lot of work from a pass rush and games and stunts. That takes timing. And so days like today and the padded days helps the most for that. It's not something that you can do on air and be effective, think about a receiver or, running a route. So those would be some things that I'm looking to see more of. It was nice to see the guys work together in the practice because most of it was unscripted, just, play ball and see the guys go. So those are the practices I like the most because that's the best time to evaluate them. They don't know what's coming, how are they going to play. So I thought we're making progress there, and I like the work that the group's putting in so far. And sometimes, like I said, for instance today with KC and Owe out, the lesson is all right, here's the opportunity for some others, and then the second lesson is that's the opportunity. What are you going to do with it? And so I although I don't love injuries at all, I do like when people recognize there's an opportunity and what are they going to do about it? And so I like looking for that.
Well, big-time onus on the defensive front in this defense of new defensive coordinator Durante Jones. The idea with the Brian Flores-style defense that we believe that Jones is going with is to create havoc up front via blitzing and via varied and exotic looks, and bottom line via pressuring the quarterback. How is the overall defense doing? We on Wednesday morning had this exchange between Commanders insider John Keim of ESPN and Dan Quinn.
For me, the defense, what have you seen from them so far, and what do you still want to see as you move forward?
Yeah, well, I think yesterday, there's a couple opportunities to get the ball, and we did. So there was a time in a 2-minute at the end, a punch out by Owen. So that part is improving, John. I think just the awareness to practice it, the process of going through that. I like where I'm seeing the different packages and the people going in and out and the disguises that go with that. Durante's done a good job of when it's, an all-out blitz, when we're back, and having those two look alike. And that, in fact, was some of yesterday's, emphasis. Can they look the same but play out differently? And those would be a few of the things that I've seen. There's still a number of spots, we're at safety and, different spaces to say where are we at. So, but I do like, our mindset for the ball. That's improving, and the different packages. Now that we've gotten more reps at it, we're starting to get more comfortable there.
So Dan Quinn right there talking up the importance of takeaways. Washington for so long has been so bad at takeaways. Here are Washington's rankings among the NFL's 32 teams in takeaways for each regular season this decade. 2020 tied for number 7, 23 takeaways. But 2021 tied for number 21, 19 takeaways. 2022 number 26, 18 takeaways. 2023 tied for number 23, 18 takeaways. 2024 tied for number 20, 17 takeaways. And 2025 number 30, a mere 10 takeaways. So Washington, for each of the last 5 regular seasons, 2021 through 2025, is ranked no better than tied for number 20 in the NFL in takeaways. We on Wednesday morning had this exchange with Dan Quinn.
Adam Epstein, 910 The Fan. You had some turnovers last week and then in the game, then yesterday on the defensive side of the ball, creating them. Do you feel like momentum is building on the defensively?
I think it's I like the process that we're going through, and so in a game you want, like 3 takeaways. Everybody's said that for a long time, but that doesn't always happen. Sometimes it's the offense doing a really good job taking care of it, but what I'm pleased about is they're staying true to the process. How many shots on the ball? Are we mindful to go take our shot? Are we getting a pass breakup when it's there? Those are the things that I'm tracking on a regular basis. So it was nice to see in the second half of the game the rush and the coverage, I thought, was the real factor in getting the interception. Certainly one with Ale and with Malik. Byron inside, hitting the quarterback, another stunt. So when I see that in coordination, that's when I know we're at our best. But we've got a ways to go to be a true ball hawking unit, but the process of getting there is good. We can't just talk about the outcome. It's got to be how often, how many shots, how much are we thinking about it. Those are the things that I think the years that I've had really good takeaway teams, it was all the time. It was in practice. It was in the meetings. It was just a way of life that we thought about it. And so I'm seeing signs of that. It's not everybody, but that's what I'm building towards.
Yeah, Dan Quinn has a tremendous track record as a defensive coordinator. Was the Seattle Seahawks defensive coordinator January 2013 to February 2015. Was the Dallas Cowboys defensive coordinator January 2021 to February 2024. His Cowboys defenses especially were great at generating takeaways, but the excellence in takeaways has not translated to his time as Washington head coach, at least not yet. Washington, in its preseason opening 27 win over the Miami Dolphins at Northwest Stadium this past Friday night, did have 3 takeaways, so 3 interceptions. And speaking of the preseason, I so hope that we sometime soon get each NFL team in a season, generally speaking, having just 2 preseason games and having 18 regular season games. I've advocated for this for years. The NFL sure seems to want this. Each NFL team in a season, generally speaking, having 3 preseason games and having 17 regular season games isn't terrible, but 2 and 18 would be better. Preseason football just is not a good product, and it isn't that necessary, and it exposes players to injury. Few things in the NFL are worse than a key player suffering a significant injury in a meaningless preseason game. We on Wednesday morning had this exchange between Adam Epstein of 910 The Fan in Richmond, Virginia, and Dan Quinn.
It's been a few years, but you were a coach when there were 4 preseason games and now 3 preseason games. How has that changed the way you approach preseason?
Yeah, it is different. I would agree. I'm in favor of it, like the regular season games. As much as I love the preseason games, I love it for the new players that we spend so much time developing to see what's next, how are they going to go. And they're the ones that usually, I haven't had tons of rookies in their first preseason game. Man, I really nailed it. It's anxious, nervous, mistakes, and then it gets better and better. So there's value to that for sure. I would say when you had 4, you kind of timed it up a little bit more, and then a lot of times with 4, I didn't have other joint practices, knowing that you had other preseason games. So now that there's 3, having 2 seems the appropriate amount to do the joint, and then 1 without. So I don't know if there's any set way that's best, but it's definitely different, and I'm sure one day it'll go to 18 and 2, and that will have some adjustments that go with it too. But yeah, I'm in favor of the less and then more in the regular.
Bravo, Dan Quinn, championing the cause of the 18-game regular season. I was very happy to hear that. Hey, whatever big event that you're planning, a wedding, a party, a corporate gathering, consider using a great sponsor of this podcast, Catering by Uptown. Visit cateringbyuptown.com and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. Catering by Uptown is outstanding. It is a family business. It is run by the Pereiras, who are terrific Washington Commanders fans, and Catering by Uptown will provide you and your event with excellent service. Catering by Uptown staff on the day of your event is the first to arrive and last to leave, and is fully prepared to offer quality, variety, and abundance, prepared to execute the plan that you and Catering by Uptown created together. Catering by Uptown specialty is weddings. Get excellent service at an affordable price. In fact, if you visit cateringbyuptown.com and click on venues, you can check out Catering by Uptown's premier wedding venues. Visit cateringbyuptown.com and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. That's cateringbyuptown.com, and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. Well, the Washington Nationals' 4-game losing streak is over. They won for just the 6th time in 20 games. A 6-0 win at the Texas Rangers on Wednesday night in Game 2 of a 3-game series. The Nats in MLB's 2026 regular season now are 61 and 67 with a run differential of plus 19, and now are 7 games behind the San Diego Padres for the National League's third of 3 wild card spots. The Rangers, they in this regular season now are 62 and 65 with a run differential of minus 48, and now are a half game behind the Minnesota Twins for the American League's third of 3 wild card spots. What is happening with Nats starting pitcher Cade Cavalli right now is tremendous. This guy is surging. He was the Nats starting pitcher for this game on Wednesday night, and he again was excellent. He tossed 6 scoreless innings with 11 strikeouts versus 1 walk. He gave up just 3 hits, all of which were singles. He issued a wild pitch. He threw a lot of strikes as he over 84 pitches threw 58 strikes versus just 26 balls. Cavalli joined Max Scherzer and Steven Strasburg as the only pitchers for the Nats since the franchise moved to Washington, D.C. in the 2004-2005 offseason to pitch at least 6 innings, allow no earned runs, and record at least 10 strikeouts in each of at least 3 outings in a regular season. If you're wondering why Nats manager Blake Butera pulled Cavalli after just 84 pitches, that's because he's a young pitcher who was coming off having thrown 103 pitches in his previous outing. Another outstanding outing. Cavalli in the Nats 7-0 win over the Chicago Cubs at Nationals Park last Thursday, August 13th. 8 scoreless innings, 10 strikeouts, 2 walks. He gave up just 1 hit, which was a single. He threw 103 pitches. Cavalli in that game tossed 5 perfect innings and 6 2/3 no-hit innings. This guy is on fire. The Nats took Cade Cavalli with the number 22 overall pick in the 2020 MLB first-year player draft out of the University of Oklahoma. It has not been until this season that he has become a regular starting pitcher for the Nats at the major league level. His road to this point has been filled with injury and setbacks and underperformance, but Cavalli this season has taken a massive step forward. Cade Cavalli in this regular season, 27 games, all starts, ERA of 3.22, whip of 1.22, strikeouts per 9 innings of 10.22, 162 strikeouts. He has a shot at a 200 strikeout regular season. We, during Blake Butera's postgame session with reporters late night on Wednesday night, had this exchange between my co-host on the Nats Chat podcast, Nats insider Mark Zuckerman of NatsJournal.com, and Butera, and then you'll hear multiple follow-up exchanges.
Like, I know you almost saw something special from Cade last time. When he strikes out, or his first 8 strikeouts tonight, are you thinking you might see something different special tonight?
No, honestly, the thing I was thinking about was his pitch count. I'm like, just when you have that many strikeouts, you worry that he's going to, throw a lot of pitches early in the game. But he did a nice job of still keeping his pitch count down somehow, but getting a ton of strikeouts. I mean, it was unbelievable the way he started that game. And also, to come off the game like he did last time, almost having the no-hitter. I think this is the hardest game for those guys to pitch, the one right after that, and to be able to come out here and do what he did when we needed him to was huge from Cade.
Were you surprised that, just looking at the pitch count, 60 pitches, 10 strikeouts in 5 innings? That's hard to believe. Almost.
Yeah, I was shocked. But then again, I mean, he's unbelievable. He's able to do some things that not many people can do in this game, and at the end of the day, we're lucky to have him out there on the mound for us, especially in a game like tonight where we need him to step up, and he did just that.
You touched on this in pregame, but the way that he kind of keeps getting better and seems to be peaking here as the season gets late, what does that tell you about how far he's come?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just sitting up there watching. They show the innings total that he has for the season during the game, and I'm looking at that, and I'm like, man, I think I saw 138 at one point early in the game. And you're just worried, right? Like you're like, how's this gonna go? He hasn't pitched this deep into a season before, and he just keeps doing what he's doing. And like you mentioned, a lot of that is because of what he's doing with his body, what he's doing in terms of preparation in between his outings. A ton of credit to Cade and the coaching staff for staying on him, and our weight staff, our training staff, everybody I think has played a part in this, and hopefully he can continue to keep this momentum going throughout the rest of the way.
How much does that history go into your decision to pull him after 6?
Yeah, I mean a lot. I think we're trying to be responsible and reasonable when we can to keep his innings counts down as much as we can, but we're also trying to win games. So look, going into that, we're trying to find spots to get him out. Maybe after 6, if his pitch count's reasonable, to try to give him a little bit of a blow. But at the end of the day, it's hard to take him out of games. Luckily, Chabby had that big 3-run shot to give us a little bit more breathing room.
Yeah, cannot say enough good things about Cade Cavalli right now. The Nats, during their 4-game losing streak, totaled just 8 runs, but the Nats on Wednesday night, 6 runs, 10 hits, which were 2 home runs, 3 doubles, and 5 singles, 3 walks, and the run total could have been higher. The Nats went just 2 for 12 with runners in scoring position. C.J. Abrams was not the Nats starting second baseman. We're still waiting on his first game at second base since Blake Butera, during his pregame session with reporters this past Friday afternoon, announced that the team is moving Abrams from being primarily a shortstop to being primarily a second baseman. Abrams on Wednesday night, as the Nats starting shortstop and number 1 batter, went 1 for 5 with a double and a standout defensive play. Abrams in the bottom of the 5th, a diving catch in shallow center field of a grounder up the middle by Jock Peterson for a ground out for the 3rd out. You see, who says that Abrams is bad defensively at shortstop? Take that, Goldie, you C.J. Abrams critic. Well, I'm a critic of his defense, not his offense. His offense in this regular season has been really good. The defense for years now has been really bad. That's why the Nats are moving him to being primarily a second baseman. But hopefully he is starting at second base sooner rather than later. The longer this goes, the more that you do wonder if Abrams is slow playing this transition to being a second baseman. But let's see what happens for Game 3 of this series. Game 3 for this series is on Thursday night at 8:05. The Nats' home runs in this game came from Andres Chaparro and Jose Tena. Andres Chaparro, he is the Nats starting DH and number 5 batter, went 3 for 4 with a 3-run homer, a double, and a single. His tear continues. Chaparro in the Nats 3-run 7th had a 2-out 3-run homer to left field for a 6-0 Nats lead. Andres Chaparro at the major league level in this regular season, 136 plate appearances, OPS of 903. Chaparro's OPS for this regular season now is higher than C.J. Abrams' OPS, 884. That's how good Chaparro has been. Jose Tena, he is the Nats starting left fielder and number 3 batter, went 2 for 3 with a solo homer, a single, and a walk. Tena in the Nats 1-run 3rd had a 2-out solo homer to right center field for a 1-0 Nats lead. The homer went a projected 415 feet per Statcast. Jose Tena for this regular season, 245 plate appearances, OPS of 723. Also, Keibert Ruiz, he is the Nats starting catcher and number 6 batter, went 2 for 3 with an RBI single, another single, and a walk. Ruiz in the Nats 1-run 4th had an RBI single through the right side of the infield on a 1-2 pitch for a 2-0 Nats lead. His OPS for this regular season now is 755. The Nats for this regular season, even with the recent struggles, remain number 1 in MLB in runs scored, home runs, and stolen bases. And the Nats relief pitching in this 6-0 win at the Rangers on Wednesday night was very good. 3 Nats relievers combined for 3 scoreless innings. Will Dion, a perfect bottom of the 7th. Max Kranick, a scoreless bottom of the 8th. And Jake Bird, a perfect bottom of the 9th. We do have some bullpen maneuvering by the Nats. They on Wednesday afternoon announced having selected the contract of relief pitcher Eric Tolman from AAA Rochester and announced having option relief pitcher Giovanni Cruz to AAA Rochester. Game 3 for the Nats at the Rangers Thursday night at 8:05. The Nats have listed Andrew Alvarez as their probable starting pitcher for the game. Taking care of the people you love, nothing matters more. Get peace of mind with life insurance through Ethos. Ethos helps to provide financial security for your family. Ethos makes getting life insurance fast and easy, 100% online. You get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. There's no medical exam. You just answer a few simple health questions. You can get up to $3 million in coverage. Some policies are as low as $30 a month. You'll get your lowest rate from Ethos' network of trusted carriers. And know this, Ethos has a rating of 4.9 out of 5 stars on Trustpilot with over 5,500 reviews. Take 10 minutes today to get covered with life insurance through Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/Al Galdi. That's ethos.com/Al Galdi. Ethos.com/Al Galdi. Application times may vary. Rates may vary. Trustpilot rating as of August 1st, 2026.
The new Red Bull Dragonberry Energizer is now at McDonald's. Made with freeze-dried dragon fruit and made to lock in. The all-new Energizer, now at McDonald's.
The start and stop nature of the Baltimore Orioles in MLB's 2026 regular season continues. They off a 3-game winning streak now, have lost 3 consecutive games. A 5-3 loss to the New York Yankees at Oriole Park at Camden Yards on Wednesday evening in Game 2 of a 3-game series. The O's in this regular season now are 61-66 with a run differential of -31 and now are 1.5 games behind the Minnesota Twins for the American League's 3rd-3 wild card spots. The Yankees, they in this regular season now are 71-55 with a run differential of +89 and lead the American League wildcard standings 3.5 games ahead of the Boston Red Sox. The Orioles starting pitcher for Wednesday evening was Chris Bassett. He allowed 3 runs in 5 2/3 innings with 6 strikeouts versus 1 walk, gave up 8 hits, which were a home run and 7 singles, but threw a good number of strikes, 95 pitches, 62 strikes, 33 balls. A mixed outing, but some good peripherals with the 6 strikeouts versus 1 walk and with the strike throwing. This was Bassett's second outing since being out for 2+ months due to a lower back issue. The O's this past Friday afternoon announced having reinstated Bassett from the 60-day injured list, which he had been on since July 17th. He was on the 15-day injured list from June 8th, retroactive to June 5th to July 17th. All of this was due to lower back discomfort, but he in his return game, the Orioles 6-5 win at the Tampa Bay Rays this past Friday night, did well, 2 runs in 5 1/3 innings. But the Orioles relief pitching in this 5-3 loss to the Yankees on Wednesday evening was not good. 5 Orioles relievers combined to allow 2 runs in 3 1/3 innings, although only 2 of the 5 relievers did poorly. Grant Wolfram retired the only batter he faced. Rico Garcia tossed a scoreless top of the 7th, despite giving up a leadoff single. But Cam Sanders, who had been doing well, he was a mess. We on this podcast had sung the praises of Cam Sanders, but he on Wednesday evening struggled. He officially allowed 2 runs in 2/3 of an inning. He had what ended up being a 2-run 8th for the Yankees, faced 5 batters, but got just 2 outs as he issued a walk and 2 hit by pitches. He threw 18 pitches, just 7 strikes versus 11 balls. And Yennier Cano, he officially tossed a third of a scoreless inning, but he and that Yankees 2-run 8th to the first batter he faced gave up a 2-out bases-loaded RBI infield single by George Lombard Jr. to the left side of the infield for a 4-3 Yankees lead. And Cano then issued a 2-out bases-loaded wild pitch for a 5-3 Yankees lead. Cano allowed 3 runs in each of his 2 appearances in the O's winning 3 out of 4 games at the Tampa Bay Rays over this past Friday through Monday. And now we have what he did on Wednesday evening. And Alex Hoppe tossed a scoreless and hitless top of the 9th with 2 swinging strikeouts. Disappointing offense for the O's in this 5-3 loss to the Yankees on Wednesday evening. Just 3 runs, just 6 hits, 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position, 11 strikeouts. And now 4 of the 6 hits were extra base hits as the O's had 2 home runs, 2 doubles, and 2 singles. And the O's did draw 3 walks. And Samuel Basallo is back. Very nice to see that. He is the Orioles starting first baseman and number 4 batter, went 1 for 3 with a single and a hit by pitch. The O's on Wednesday afternoon announced having reinstated Basayo from the 10-day injured list. He had been on that since July 22nd, retroactive to July 20th due to right shoulder inflammation. Also, the O's on Wednesday afternoon announced having optioned infielder/outfielder Jeremiah Jackson to AAA Norfolk. But Samuel Basayo, a very key player for the O's to have back. He, for this regular season at the major league level, has an OPS of .757, one of the Orioles' top young players. The Orioles' home runs on Wednesday evening came from Pete Alonso and Dylan Beavers. Yes, Pete Alonso homered again and should have homered a second time in this game. He is the Orioles starting DH and number 2 batter, went 1 for 4 with a solo homer. Alonso in the Orioles' 1-run third had a 1-out opposite field, full count solo homer to right field to cut the Orioles deficit to 3-2 despite having been down in the count at 1.12. The homer went a projected 423 feet per Statcast, and he should have had another home run. Alonso in the bottom of the 7th with 2 outs, the base is empty, and the game tied at 3, hit a long, deep fly ball down the left field line. He thought that the ball was gone, and so did the crowd at Oriole Park at Camden Yards, but umpires ruled that the ball was foul. The play went to review and still was ruled foul. Didn't make much sense. That sure seemed to be a home run. A statement from the MLB Replay Center, quote, after viewing all relevant angles, the replay official could not definitively determine that the ball left the playing field in fair territory. The call stands, and it is a foul ball, end quote. Tough break for the O's, but bottom line, Pete Alonso continues to roll. He, for this regular season, now has 29 home runs and an OPS of .857. How about the month of August that Alonso is having? Alonso, for this month of August, has the following slash line. Batting average of .365. On-base percentage of .437, slugging percentage of .683. Outstanding. Dylan Beavers, he is the Orioles starting left fielder and number 6 batter, went 1 for 3 with a solo homer and a walk. Beavers in the Orioles' 1-run 6th had a 2-out opposite field solo homer to left center field to tie the game at 3. Dylan Beavers is having a disappointing season. He, for this regular season at the major league level, has an OPS of just .670. Also, the O's in the bottom of the 1st with runners at the corners pulled off a 2-out double steal on which Jackson Holliday stole home for a 1-0 Orioles lead. That was nice to see. But ultimately, 3 runs, not good enough against a team as good as the Yankees. Game 3 for the O's against the Yankees at Oriole Park at Camden Yards, Thursday evening at 6:35. The O's have listed Kyle Bradish as their probable starting pitcher for the game. And that'll do it for you and me for now, but there's more to come. Friday show, episode 1393. We'll have much more on the Washington Commanders. Also on Friday's show, I'll talk Washington Nationals and Baltimore Orioles. The Nats are at the Texas Rangers Thursday night at 8:05 for Game 3 of a 3-game series. The O's are home to the New York Yankees Thursday evening at 6:35 for Game 3 of a 3-game series. Have a great rest of your Thursday, and I'll talk to you on Friday.
Have them as part of our Commander family.
The new Red Bull Dragonberry Energizer is now at McDonald's. Made with freeze-dried dragon fruit and made to lock in. The all-new Energizer, now at McDonald's.